11-5-2 with 2 knockouts, right?
Yeah.
That's awesome. So can you describe your first pro fight? Like the feeling that you went through. I know it was a win. I know you won your first 2. It was your
Yeah.
third fight, was your first loss. Describe us the feeling that you went through in that
So
first fight.
I remember it being mental. I remember thinking, I can't believe I'm doing this. Like, I can't believe I'm doing this. And like, you've had all the prep in the lead up to it. I had my hair braided properly for the first time. And I was just like, I wasn't going to wear a head guard. I was really happy about this because I hate wearing head guard. So this was the best part. I was getting little gloves. I was like, oh, these feel great. And my coach was like, yeah, but don't forget your opponent gets little gloves too. So not just you. And I remember it was in this like old nightclub in Southend, like East London, outside of London, and I had to walk through the kitchen to get to the ring. It's one of these tiny little shows. And I remember walking past these pots and pans and ladles, and I was like, "This is surreal." Then I went out and like kicked butt for 6 rounds. So I was just like, "It's mad." And I remember it just being really, really crazy. And for me, I'd had like 3 or 4 disappointments in the lead up to that where I thought I was going to fight, then I wasn't fighting. I thought I was going to fight. So I just couldn't actually wait to get in there. And I can't really tell you a single minute of what happened when I was in that ring. All I remember is my arm getting raised and me thinking, oh, I've started.
Did your coach ever explain to you the reason why because there's some coaches, I know some coaches that do coach amateur boxers and professional boxers, and there's some coaches that only do one or the other. Did your coach ever explain to you the reason why he just wanted to go right to the pro and not
he tried to get me to go to an amateur club. As he always says, I tried to get rid of her, but she wasn't going anywhere. No, he actually got his pro license to take me professional. Before that, he hadn't taken anyone pro, and he'd been working with boxers. He'd been doing a lot of their strength and conditioning sides of it as well. And that's where his experience lay there. But also he used to fight when he was younger. He did boxing, MMA. So he's been involved with boxing for a long time. But he just never thought to take somebody professional. So, he was like, right, I think you're determined and you're going to stick it out. So let's do it.
Nice.
Great.
It's turned out well so far.
Absolutely.
You fought for your first world title, I believe, in your 6th fight. That was for the WBC silver female middle title?
So my 6th fight, that was WBC silver, yeah. So that was such an exciting night for me. It was like my first proper title, and it was at home in Scotland in front of my family and friends, and it was meant to be for the 150 the junior middleweight. It was meant to be for the 154 title, but then like before it, like 2 weeks out, like there's a change of opponent because there's a problem with the girl that was meant to be fighting. Then it has to get changed to the 160, and I'm thinking, I just want to get in there, I just want to fight. I don't care who it is. But my coach always says, like, that is definitely the reason he's lost all his hair. That was a very stressful lead up to that fight. But it was an amazing night against Sanna Turunen, Finnish girl. And I remember it really clearly. Just one of those nights I'll never forget. Never.
Definitely. One of the biggest accolades so far in the career at that point in time, right? So
yeah, buzzing.
What do you have any short plans, like any short-term goals that you're trying to accomplish at the moment?
So obviously in boxing, I've got my first defense of my world titles coming up. So very short-term goal is to have my arm raised in here and still. That's the short-term goal.
What's the date for that?
So it's not been announced yet, so I can't tell you, unfortunately, else I would love to. But yeah, it's coming up soon. It should be announced hopefully for April sometime. And then everybody's going to get a chance to tune in on Fight Zone and watch it. So yeah, I'm buzzing. I'll be headlining the show as well. So I'm very excited. And I think that's a big step forward with women's boxing. We're now seeing more women headlining shows, which is just a real positive. So that's good.
Hopefully you'll be headlining our Sunday show, Knockout of the Week.
Yeah.
So we're expecting you to headline that pretty soon too.
Yeah, definitely. What do you believe is the greatest challenge that you faced in your career so far in boxing?
I think when I fought Clarissa Shields, that was probably my biggest challenge for fighting side of things. The other side of the coin is kind of like being a female fighter in a male-dominated environment. Definitely, but that is changing, which is good. Like I can really see that starting to not be such an issue as it was before. There's things still to work on. But when I fought Clarissa, it was the first sort of time that I've been on like Matchroom USA. It was like we did live press conferences. I was flown to New York for like 48 hours for a press conference. It was the first time I'd really been thrown right into the public eye, and my first time having to answer loads of media questions, be in front of the camera all the time, and prep for the biggest fight of my life, really, against a fantastic boxer who, at the time, we hated each other. It was dealing with that, like all eyes on one thing, but now we're really good friends, so it's all good. But at the time, yeah, we were right at it.
When you're
1 second. I need. We're not just getting off this real. I need.
no, go ahead.
Explain the difference in preparing for a big bassoonist concert and preparing for a world championship boxing match. What are the similarities and differences there?
I'll tell you a funny story, right? So when I was back in doing my master's, and my undergraduate, I used to actually suffer quite badly from performance anxiety, which is kind of tricky when you're wanting to perform in front of people. So it was a real stress for me. I used to, like, my breathing used to go bad, my heart rate went a million miles an hour, I couldn't hear, real nerves, and but it was only for solo performing, not for an orchestra or anything like that. So, I went to hypnotherapy, I tried a few different things, but when I moved down to London, when I had my final recital at college, I ran it like a boxing match. My coach came in with me. He stood outside the room before I walked on stage. We did our breathing together. I had water. He was like, "Right, you're cool. Let's go. First round." I went out. I did my first piece, and I came back again with some breathing. And you know what? I performed the best I've ever performed. And it was that sort of structure and the way that you have, your coaches in the corner. You get back there, you get some advice, you control your breathing, clear your mind, get ready to go again and refocus. And it actually was one of my best performances. So there are lots of similarities for me because it is all about performing, whether I'm on stage or with my bassoon in front of a nice, well-behaved audience who are going to clap nicely when they should, or in front of like a boxing audience and I'm facing my opponent. We're going to go at it as soon as the bell goes, but I'm going to perform under the lights. And I realized that actually I'm an entertainer and I love to entertain people, so I always hope that people are entertained to watch me box as much as they're entertained to watch me perform in concerts and things like that. So for me, they're very similar.
Honestly, I love watching you box. I guess I gotta watch you play the horn then, right?
I've started doing some work with Fight Zone at the moment for commentary, which I really, really, really enjoy actually. I've had the sort of, I was very lucky to be asked by Box Nation to do the commentary for Clarissa and Christina Haymer's fight, which I really enjoyed actually. And so it's an area that I never thought I'd work in, but something that basically allows me to be a total boxing geek. Research fighters, watch their fight style, then talk about it on the night and just get really excited and try not to swear when I get really excited. So that's definitely something I want to do. At the moment, I'm doing quite a bit of ambassadorial work for a charity called Boxwise. I'm due to go out to South Africa to set up their South Africa branch after my next fight. So that'll happen this year. I'm a big believer in getting young people empowered through the sport of boxing, helping them to learn discipline, and just also give them some routine and structure and giving them pathways into future employment and options like that. So that's an area that I hope to be involved in when I retire, because for me, I'm quite passionate about it. So fingers crossed, I will be doing a fair bit of that. And how I'd like to be remembered, someone who gave everything a go. I took every challenge full on and didn't take no for an answer.
Do you want to be loved or do you want to be feared in your career?
Well, I'd like to be loved, actually. I think that'd be nice. I'm not fussed about being feared because I do my stuff when I get in the ring, It is what it is. And I think sometimes fighters try to be a person that they're not. And often, eventually, when you get to the high levels, you get found out.
Yeah.
And boxing is a huge mental game. So if in the lead up to a fight, your story starts to unravel, and you're not the person that you've made out you are for your first few fights. You're not this like badass gangster guy, like, and suddenly you're standing in front of a gangster. You're gonna get found out. So
You're gonna get G-checked right there.
yeah, I'd like to be loved by people, and then I'll do all my fighting in the ring.